Years ago, Darkseid said something to Superman that everyone in the DC universe dismissed as the raving of a tyrant. It wasn't. It was a warning. And before we get into what he said, let's take a moment to appreciate what makes this so uncomfortable. Because the man who was right about Superman is one of the most evil beings in the DC universe. A god of destruction, a conqueror of worlds, a creature who has enslaved civilizations and erased entire planets in his pursuit of the anti-life equation. He is not supposed to be the one with the clearest vision. And yet, watch the moment in Superman the Animated Series, the first time Darkseid looks at Superman with those burning Omega eyes and says, essentially, you are not a hero, you are a weapon, and one day the universe will agree with me. Most people heard that as a villain monologue. They should have heard it as a warning, because Darkseid wasn't making a threat. He was describing something he had already seen in every champion, every chosen one, every last hope that planets had leaned on before they fell. He had seen it 100 times across 100 worlds, a being of immeasurable power, worshipped by the people he protects, completely incapable of seeing what that worship was doing to him. Darkseid had seen Superman before, just not with that face. We're going to go back through the history of Superman's greatest moments, the battles, the speeches, the victories, and we're going to watch exactly what Darkseid saw. And I promise you, by the end, you'll never look at the Man of Steel the same way again.
Let's be absolutely clear about something before we prosecute this case.
Superman is everything they say he is. He is the benchmark, the original, the character every other superhero was built either to imitate or to answer. When you strip everything back, the cowl, the gadgets, the gamma radiation, the magic rings, Superman is what's left. A man who could do anything and chooses to do good. That is not nothing. That is extraordinary. Watch him in Superman the Animated Series, and I mean really watch him. Not the fight scenes. Watch the way he talks to people, the way he lands in a burning building, not like a soldier arriving for a mission, but like someone who genuinely cannot bear the thought of someone being hurt. There's a softness there underneath the cape, a Clark Kent that never fully left even when the suit went on. Watch him in Justice League when he steps between Batman and a crowd of civilians, not because it's tactically smart, but because that's just who he is. He puts himself in the way of harm reflexively before his brain has caught up. This is the Superman that made a generation of children believe that power could be paired with kindness, that strength could exist without cruelty. And the Justice League Unlimited version, arguably the peak of animated Superman, is a marvel of contradictions. Here is a man who could level a mountain with his breath, who is completely vulnerable to a green rock most humans have never heard of, who carries the full weight of Earth's expectations and somehow never buckles under them. In Hereafter, one of the most celebrated episodes in DC animation history, Superman is presumed dead. The Justice League grieves. The world grieves. Vandal Savage, a man who has lived for 50,000 years and watched every civilization rise and fall, sits alone in a dead future and admits that Superman was the only thing holding everything together. That is not hyperbole. That is the animated universe's verdict on what Superman represents. He is the load-bearing wall. He is the one the others are calibrated against. When Lex Luthor builds a plan, it is built around Superman. When Brainiac plots, it is Superman he obsesses over. When the whole multiverse is under threat, it is Superman's name that gets said first. Superman the Animated Series ran for 4 seasons. Justice League and Justice League Unlimited gave him the most screen time, the most consequential arcs, and the most emotionally devastating episodes in the franchise. The fan reception for his appearances is almost unanimously positive. Critics consistently name his animated iterations as the definitive versions of the character. He is, by every measurable standard, the greatest superhero in animated history. And that right there is exactly the problem Darkseid was talking about. Go back to Superman the Animated Series, Season 2, Apocalypse Now. Darkseid arrives on Earth, not as a threat, not as a conqueror in that episode specifically. He arrives with purpose, with patience, with a plan that has been running for longer than Superman has been alive. And when Superman confronts him, what's striking is not the physical power differential, it's the cognitive one. Superman is reacting. Darkseid is narrating. Superman sees a problem in front of him. Darkseid sees a pattern that Superman is part of without knowing it. He looks at the Man of Steel and doesn't see a hero. He sees a child who has been told his entire life that being the strongest person in the room is the same as being the wisest. It is not. In the Justice League, the people closest to Superman have never helped him understand the difference. Watch the team dynamic across Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. Batman challenges Superman tactically. He builds contingency plans. He prods at his blind spots. He refuses to let Clark coast on physical power. But Batman's critiques are always about effectiveness. He never questions the deeper thing. He never asks, what are we doing to this man by making him the center of everything? Wonder Woman comes closest. There are moments in the series where Diana looks at Clark and sees something that worries her. Not his power, but his certainty. His assumption that the right answer is always the one that feels like strength. But even she pulls back from the real conversation. The League enables him, not maliciously. They do it out of love, out of trust, out of the genuine belief that Superman's instincts are good. And they are good. That's not the point. The point is that good instincts, unchallenged for long enough, become something else. They become dogma.
Watch the A Better World two-parter.
The Justice Lords, a version of the Justice League from a parallel universe, have imposed order on their Earth. Superman killed Lex Luthor, not because he was evil, because he was certain. Because after years of being the most powerful being on the planet, the leap from I can stop this to I should stop this permanently shrank until he couldn't see the gap anymore. That isn't a villain's arc. That's what happens to heroes when the people around them never give them a reason to doubt. The Justice Lords are not a warning about tyranny. They are a warning about worship. Every time Earth cheers for Superman, every parade, every press conference, every child pointing at the sky, it widens the distance between who Clark Kent actually is and who Kal-El is becoming. The human side of him, the part that was raised by the Kents to understand that power without accountability is just a longer way to spell danger, gets quieter. Darkseid heard it going quiet. He said it out loud. Nobody listened. And the most devastating part, Superman didn't listen either. After every confrontation with Darkseid, after every moment where the villain laid out in precise and unflinching terms exactly what Superman's trajectory looked like from the outside, Clark walked away more convinced than ever that Darkseid was simply wrong, that the perspective of someone evil was automatically invalid. But Darkseid's evil has nothing to do with whether his observation was accurate. A liar can point at the sun and be right. Watch that scene again. The scene where Darkseid leans forward and tells Superman, I am many things, Kal-El, but here I am your ruler. Most people hear domination, but listen to the subtext. What Darkseid is really saying is, I have already accounted for you. I have already put you in the correct box. You just don't know which box that is yet. And he was right. For the man who has everything. If you know the DC animated universe, you know this episode. And if you know it, you felt something shift when it aired. Black Mercy, a parasitic alien plant that traps its host inside their deepest fantasy. A life so perfect, so complete, that the victim simply stops fighting, stops thinking, stops wanting to leave. And what is Superman's perfect fantasy? Krypton never exploded. He is Kal-El. He has a family, a history, a planet. He is ordinary. He is not the last of anything. He is not the most powerful being in the room. He is not responsible for every living thing within a 5-mile radius. He is just a man. That is what lives underneath all the strength. A person who never asked to be the answer to every question humanity has. A person who carries the weight of two worlds, one dead, one dependent, and has never once put it down, because the second he does, something, somewhere, burns. Darkseid chose the right weapon, not kryptonite, not brute force, not an army. He exposed the gap between the myth and the man. And the man, freed from the myth for a few hours, was at peace in a way we had never seen from him before or since. That is the fall, not a physical defeat, though those come too. The fall is the revelation that the thing which makes Superman Superman is also the thing that is quietly eroding him. The weight of being worshipped, the loneliness of being categorically different from every person you are protecting, the impossibility of asking for help when you are supposed to be the help. Then there is the Hereafter arc, where Superman is transported thousands of years into the future. A dead Earth, no sun, just Vandal Savage sitting in the ruins of a civilization that collapsed precisely because Superman wasn't there to hold it together. This is where the script finally shows its hand. The greatest argument for Superman, the proof of his necessity, is also his most devastating indictment. A world that falls without you is a world that was never strong enough to stand without you. A world that was never asked to be. Superman saved everyone, and by saving everyone, he made everyone dependent. Darkseid understood systems. He understood that a civilization built around a single point of failure is not a civilization. It is a hostage. And the hostage taker isn't the villain. It's the hero. The one everyone agreed to stop trying around, because why would you try when the most powerful being in the universe is already trying for you? The Justice League Unlimited episode, Divided We Fall, brings it home. When the League is compromised, when the systems fail, when the bureaucratic infrastructure meant to hold these godlike beings accountable breaks down, it is Superman who the world instinctively looks to. Not the system, not the structure, the man. A man who, by that point, has already been shown to be a catastrophic single point of failure, and he stands there and accepts the gaze. Because what else has he ever known? So let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to what Darkseid actually said. Not the monologues people remember, not the "I am many things, Kal-El" theatrics, the quieter line, the one that gets cut from highlight reels because it doesn't sound like a villain speech. He said, across multiple iterations in different forms, in different contexts, that Superman was not a solution. He was a delay. That everything Clark Kent stood for, hope, protection, sacrifice, the idea that one person could be the shield between darkness and the innocent, it was not a foundation, it was a crutch. And the moment the crutch was removed, the universe would reveal that it had never actually learned to walk. Now, go back and watch the Justice League Unlimited finale. Watch Destroyer, the episode where Darkseid returns, where the world is under threat, where Superman stares down a god and delivers the line that made an entire generation of children feel invincible. I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking care not to break something, but you can take it, can't you, big man? It is one of the greatest speeches in animated history, and it proves Darkseid right, because Superman's greatest moment of catharsis, the moment where he finally lets himself be fully, uncontrollably powerful, is not a moment of protection. It is a moment of release, of finally getting to stop holding back. He is not saving the world in that moment. He is relieved to stop pretending, and the world is watching, and the world is cheering, and the world learns, again, that when things get bad enough, Superman will fix it. He will step forward, he will release the full weight of what he is, and the problem will stop, which means they never have to. Darkseid did not want to conquer a world that had Superman in it. He wanted to conquer a world that could no longer imagine surviving without him, because those worlds are easy. You don't defeat the champion, you wait. You let the infrastructure rot. You let the civilization atrophy. You let everyone forget how to solve problems that the champion isn't solving for them. And then you remove the champion, not permanently, just long enough, and you watch the cardboard world collapse exactly the way it always was going to. He was patient. He had been patient for centuries. He had watched it happen on 100 other worlds. He watched it begin to happen here. And he told Superman, not to warn him, not out of respect, but because Darkseid is the kind of villain who appreciates it when the hero knows they've lost. It made the ending cleaner. The tragedy of Superman, the thing that makes the animated version land so much harder than the live-action versions ever have, is that he is genuinely trying to do the right thing. Every single episode, every single fight. He is not naive. He knows the world is complicated. He is not arrogant. He knows he can be beaten, but he does not know what he cannot see. He cannot see what it looks like from the outside, from Darkseid's angle, from the vantage point of someone who has watched civilizations build their entire identity around a single extraordinary being and called it hope. It is not hope. Hope is the belief that people can be better. What Superman inspires, what he accidentally, lovingly, entirely well-meaningly creates, is dependency. And Darkseid was right about that from the very first episode. Nobody listened. Not the Justice League, not the governments, not the audiences watching at home who felt their hearts lift every time the cape appeared on screen. Not Superman. And that is what makes it devastating. Not that a villain diagnosed the hero's flaw. Villains do that all the time. It's practically part of the job description. What makes it devastating is that the flaw he diagnosed is the same thing that makes us love Superman in the first place. His certainty, his warmth, his complete and unshakable belief that one person standing in the gap between darkness and everyone else is enough. It is exactly enough, and it is exactly the problem. Darkseid saw it. He said it. We cheered for the wrong side. Watch that moment again. The first scene. Darkseid's eyes on Superman. Not with hatred, with recognition. He had seen this before. He was going to see it again.